Welcome to Pay Attention, a podcast guiding you from the chaos of the mind to the clarity of the heart. Here's your host, Holly McNeill.
Hey, hello, and welcome. Welcome to another episode. I have to tell you, I love this new platform I'm on here. So I don't know. I'm probably pretty new. I'm new to the live scene, and such. We've had this one episode, today's episode. We've been trying to get out. We've had technical difficulties, not once, but twice. So the third time's a charm, and it's fitting that we have this trouble with a techie. So my guest today, Adam Kobler, come on. Thank you for being so patient with us. I think this is the third time we've tried this, and it's going to actually happen today. So thank you for your patience.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Here we are. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. And we've got a great story about how we met. And so it's on the recording, which we're going to play for you here in a minute. But Adam and I are here live. If you have comments, we can address them after the recording. But for now, sit back and please enjoy this techie episode of Pay Attention. I'm Holly McNeill, and welcome to another episode of Pay Attention. I'm about 25 episodes in now, and as I say, I just love this journey, and it's really starting to evolve, and the people I meet, and the interesting conversations that we have around paying attention to what's going on, not only in your thoughts, in your mind, but also in your body. And yeah, beyond that, beyond thoughts, what you find beyond thoughts. And today my guest was my, of all things, Uber driver when I was at the St. Paul NACA conference here. I think it was in April. And in the short time we were in the car between the airport and getting to my hotel, we had a lovely discussion on mindfulness. And actually, he told me that he comes from a place of technology. And so I was fascinated. And I'm always fascinated about the techie brain versus, mindfulness and what that all means. And so today, my guest, Adam Kobler, is here to talk about it. Welcome, Adam. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Holly. It's good to be here.
Yeah, what an interesting way we met, and I'm excited to talk about technology versus mindfulness. But start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself, kind of what you told me in the car, how you got into mindfulness from the tech world, and kind of what that means for you, and we'll go from there.
Sure. So, very high level overview. For me, mindfulness kind of came through a bit of a side road, I guess you could say.
Okay.
I have always been a bit of a linguist. I've been very curious, as the nickname indicates. And so over the years, just little bits and pieces of things have hinted at things like meditation, at mindfulness, and various different practices related to that. And I think it finally came to a head probably in the early 20-teens or so, shortly after college, when I finally decided to start meditating on a regular basis and just see what that did, see how that felt. And
so even though you're heading in college, what's your degree in college?
So I have 2 degrees, one in management information systems and the other in Russian studies.
Russian studies. Okay. All right. So I'm trying to figure out how the technology, came in, but keep going.
Yeah. So management information systems, for those that aren't aware, is kind of a combination of business and computer science. A lot less code, a lot more theory.
Okay.
So yeah, it's kind of how do you apply technology to business scenarios is what that major is about.
Right. And so you have a business around that now. But yes, it's called
Protagonist.
Right. So and you can we'll learn more about that at the end. But now you bring mindfulness into that.
I do.
Is that right? Yeah. So how did your journey of mindfulness evolve then into part of, I guess, what you do?
So after the first stint of meditating, 10, 15 years ago now, I guess, there was enough there that I realized that, hey, this is something that I actually do really kind of like.
Uh-huh.
And as I played with that more, as I learned more about it, I started reading things like, what was the book? Mindful Work by David Gellis.
Mm-hmm.
Read through that. I've read through number of works by David Hawkins, various other
That's
people.
right. I don't mean to interrupt you, but that's what we talked about in the car, about reading
Yeah,
something over and over. Okay, it's all coming back to me now. Reading something, and when it speaks to you, you read it over and over and over again, which is how the brain learns, right? Which is how I
mhm.
suppose computers are programmed. But anyway, keep going.
Yep. Repetition is the father of
Everything.
expertise, right?
Yes.
But yeah, it wasn't really until like the last, I want to say 7 or 8 years, that I really started to bring it into my business practices.
Mm-hmm.
I had been through a bit of a rocky patch with a previous business, went through some health issues because I was just pushing myself way harder than I should have been.
Yeah, I can
Learned a
see it. I
lot of
understand that.
lessons from that.
Mm-hmm. We do. Sometimes we have to, get pretty low before we're like, wait, what's happening?
Yep. Got to fall down the stairs all the way to the bottom sometimes.
I like that. Yeah. Unfortunately.
But yeah, as I was kind of picking myself back up and trying to figure out, all right, well, where do I go from this bottom place here? I started meditating again, daily, up to
Mm-hmm.
sometimes an hour a day,
Okay.
and found that I found a lot of peace, but also that there was a lot of new insights that just seemingly appeared out
Appear.
of thin air.
I like that. In the
Um,
quiet, right? In the stillness. Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Mm.
And the idea is some of them would come during the meditation, some of them would just come in other parts of the day. But I feel like taking that time to have that quiet and
Mm-hmm.
to just kind of clear the decks a bit mentally cleared the way for a lot of those things to happen, the catalyst, so to speak.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I am all about the quiet, listening to the stillness, especially with kind of what's going on in the country and the world right now. Obviously, everything on social media and everything we're hearing about isn't working, right? So there is that
Mhm.
quiet wisdom that that can only be found in that space where the thoughts are calm, are quieted. So I love that.
Yeah, it's a pretty great place to be, as I'm sure you're well aware.
Yeah, yes. And so how do you bring that into your work with clients then? I mean, I love the whole idea of techie meets mindfulness, and there's so much I want to talk about, but are your clients open to that, or how does mindfulness come into working with, data systems and putting systems together, whatever it is that you do with your work?
Sure. So I'll give a little bit of a very brief synopsis here. So I help ordinary people do extraordinary things as a team
Oh, okay.
through leadership development and operations consulting,
Oh, okay.
primarily in the technology spaces, but I've worked with a variety of other verticals as well. Um,
Okay.
so within that, the leadership obviously has a very direct correlation to mindfulness,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Or at least I think both of us would argue that it should.
Yes,
um,
good. Yes. Mm-hmm.
so especially in that side of my business, when I'm coaching people who are new to leadership, who are trying to figure out, okay, I've been a specialist my entire career. How do I actually lead people?
Okay.
Um,
So you're taking techie people and trying to teach them how to lead?
yes. So these are
Excellent.
people
Okay.
who have never like been in a position to lead other people before in really any
Okay.
capacity.
Okay. So
So
you use
I,
mindfulness as a tool to help them find that.
yeah. And so in some cases, some people really latch onto that. They've been very open to it. They've been curious
Mm-hmm.
about it.
Mm-hmm.
Other people, especially if they've got a longer technology career behind them, are more of the I live in a world of logic kind of mindset.
Okay. Interesting. All right.
And as I like to say, you can win chess with logic, but not people.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And
So do
so,
you find those people that are less open to it have a harder time leading? Do you find a direct correlation with that, or I guess it's just a different style of leading?
yeah, I feel like it's really situational. In some
Mm-hmm.
people's cases, I've seen some people who are really great leaders whose teams love them, who have a very logical, very regimented system that they've built. Other people who have, similar fundamentals for their systems and logic and everything for leadership, not so much, not really seen as good of a leader. And so there's, much like leadership, I feel like the incorporation of mindfulness into leadership has a variety of different facets and interpretations.
Right. Of course, it depends on many, many things, very situational, as you said. So, so your work in bringing mindfulness is for those people, primarily, like you said, in the tech world that want to become more than management and leadership. So I think that's a beautiful, I mean, I'm all about mindfulness, obviously, but
never would.
Yeah. Teaching people in leadership how to be aware not only of the thoughts in their mind and how that's affecting others, but also how others might be kind of feeling or thinking, and how to better, I guess, find collaboration and cooperation in that way. I don't know.
Yeah. And as a leader, one of the big pieces, I've got kind of a trifecta of foundational elements for leadership, one of which is trust. And trust is not a one-way street. And so that's one thing that the mindfulness can really go a long way towards. Is I'll often tell people that I'm coaching, you find yourself in a high pressure situation, high stress with a client, or, a blown deadline, some sort of legal problem, you name it, that you're having to mediate with somebody on your team or maybe your whole team. Before you just start letting words flow from your brain out of your mouth, stop for a second and think about what's appropriate for the situation, even if it's for just like 3 to 5 seconds. And the vast majority of the time, the words that come out of your mouth after that pause will be much more effective and appropriate for the situation.
I love that. Pause for a moment. Just instead of that reaction to their own emotions and thoughts, like just pause, right? What's going to help? I like that. And it's been pretty successful then?
I seem to get pretty good feedback on it. I give people an acronym TAP, take a pause. And that kind of has a physical reminder as well. If you tap your finger on the table, it's like, oh, all right, there we are.
Yeah. You could do a whole podcast episode on pausing, on take a pause. I like that. Take a pause.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Especially in the world of technology, where everything is so kind of black and white and people, it's A plus B equals C, but maybe there's, just take a moment to see D, E, and F, and how that might play out differently. So anyway, love it. I love it. So since I have you in the techie brain here that's into mindfulness, I'd love to talk about kind of the comparison of kind of computer and technology and the mind itself, right? I've heard it said that computers were originally based off how the brain works. The neurons that fire together and wiring together, creating habits and patterns, conditioning, programming that we then without awareness we run our lives from. And computers are obviously much the same way. So I don't know, would you say that that's a fair comparison, or that's kind of a logical connection as far as wanting to reprogram or unravel all of those thoughts to find that space of clarity?
I feel like there are a wide variety of correlations between a number of concepts of the brain as well as the concepts of how computers work. And for my part, I feel like in society as a whole, especially in more recent years, there's been kind of this trend to set and forget things. Of just, hey, we've got something that's working, let's sustain it, let's do that forever.
Mm-hmm.
And largely forget about the actions of doing it,
Mm-hmm.
because they just become routine,
Routine,
which
right?
is
Habit.
another
Yeah.
mechanism of the brain, right? That's kind of how the brain automates things. You do something enough, it becomes a routine.
Right. You don't have to
So,
even think about it. Right.
yeah. I feel like a lot of introspection and curiosity has been lost in society at large. I won't say
Mm.
entirely, but a lot of people who are just kind of would consider themselves an average person. I feel like, they've got their routine. They get up, they go to work, they come home, dinner,
Yep.
maybe chill on the
Yep.
couch, watch TV for a couple hours and go to bed.
Yep.
And
And even though they suffer and struggle, it's just part. It's like I call it automatic pilot.
yeah,
Right. There's not an awareness. I guess that would be the difference, right, between the brain and the mind. The brain and the computer operate on routines and input, but awareness is what looks at it,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of that more intangible piece that isn't directly programmable by our logical brains.
Yeah. I love when you said the curiosity has been lost, which is obviously your nickname. So
I'm
tell us
trying
a
to
little
keep
bit
it
about
alive
that.
here.
Obviously, curiosity has not been lost on you because you got that nickname. So you would recommend to people to get curious about kind of what's going on, obviously in their head, and not be kind of not let that computer program run things.
Yeah. Yeah, there's good automation and there's bad automation, both in people and in machines.
Okay.
Um, and you don't get out of any automation unless you start asking questions
Mm-hmm.
and trying to understand why.
Right. Right.
I tell people that if you want to really, light my fire real quick, is tell me that this is how it's always been done.
Without question. Right,
Yep.
right. Yeah, you're right. Good automation. I mean, we all brushing your teeth is automated, and washing the dishes is automated, and all of those things are fine. But staying in a bad relationship or in a mindset of depression or anxiety, it's all very automated, right?
It
And it's
can be,
all
yeah.
those thoughts and patterns, and the more you stay in it, the stronger they get. So yeah. Pay attention is obviously what the podcast is called. But
Yeah,
another way of saying that is be curious, ask questions, and as a human being, as a conscious awareness, you're in charge of that automation. It's not in charge of you.
absolutely. It just takes an
Yeah.
iota of effort.
Yeah, and I was talking. I teach a class, and we're talking about the intensity of anger and the intensity of love. It's
Mm,
the same intensity, right? It's the same kind of feelings and intensity in your body, but it's what track are you going to go down, right? What program are you going to pick? You can switch the track. She can transmute that, change it into love,
yeah.
and it's a skill but it's a choice, like I said, or you said, or somebody
Like one of
said.
us said at some point. We'll watch back the footage and we'll let you know.
Yeah, exactly.
um, but yeah, and like in those situations, just to leapfrog on that real quick, is that's another place that TAP acronym can come in handy. Is that's another kind of automation that a lot of us has fallen prey to, and that's actually pretty insidious. Is just those snap judgments that so many people make, especially in recent history.
Yeah.
That was something I learned a lot from my late wife, who just appreciated everybody, it seemed. And
Mhm.
you'd never hear a bad word about anybody off of her lips. And she was like, well, everybody's going through their own thing. Who am I to deal out death and judgment,
Yeah, yeah, you never know. Right. And then when you make those snap judgments, you're affecting not only yourself in that potentially negative way, but the people around you. And I'm sorry to hear about your wife, by the way. I didn't know. So
Thank you.
yeah, but yeah, it is a choice to. I know people. I'm here in Southern California that are worried about all of the ICE and all that the deportations, and not just back to their original countries, but potentially someplace scary and detainment without really any kind of habeas corpus or due process. And so just when I'm around them, I can feel that anxiety, right? But just to understand, it's a choice to understand. And, a lot of us who are born here in this country don't kind of really appreciate what they might be going through. So yeah, it is a choice. So as compared to a computer that has no choice, it just follows the program. I guess that would be the difference between our computer brain and the computer, is that we have the conscious awareness to question it, to make choices, and to unravel a lot of the beliefs that aren't true, the things that may be routine but don't actually function in a way that help us, and find that clarity of stillness. So
yeah, and there's so many different ways to do that. I'm sure you've talked about many of them over the years through your show, through your talks, through classes.
Yeah.
So I imagine you have some good resources for people to tap into for those.
Yeah. Well, my teachings per love, one PER stands for pledge to make the habit of watching your mind, evaluate what's in there, and then recognize it, because there is that moment when that stuff comes up before you head down that rabbit hole that you can say stop, right? Take the pause, take a pause and question it. And it's a training, it's a habit. So yeah, it's and a lot of the things that I've learned over the years, thank you for asking, I'll kind of point back to this, which leads me to my last topic I'd love to talk to a techie mind about. And I know that this is new, but the whole idea of ChatGPT and AI and what that's going to mean. I mean, I've seen so many kind of advertisements like, hey, if you're over 40, I'm sure you're using ChatGPT like Google and blah, blah, blah. There's so many other ways to use it. It's like, okay, I'm over 40, but I'm actually not just using it as Google. But
yeah,
I personally think, I just heard this recently, there's a huge potential for awakening and spirituality, or at least helping to understand your own through AI and through ChatGPT. And so before I get into some kind of little specifics, what's your kind of overall take on that, Adam?
I was actually having a conversation about this general concept with a colleague of mine yesterday morning, of just how much AI has been percolating through things and what people have been using it for, and whether those are good uses of it or not.
Of course.
Yeah. And I could record a whole podcast on just that, but
maybe we'll come back and 3 months, 6 months, we'll just do a deep dive into this, because I am completely fascinated by it. But anyway,
yeah. So as far as my experience with AI goes, I find that it's often applied in ways that don't serve the intended purpose.
Okay.
So, for example, the point I was making with my colleague yesterday, without giving too many private details away, was a business may start utilizing an AI tool for a specific legal process that's just repetitive, that is done by human hands today. They get rid of that person's position, and then they just take whatever the AI spits out at the end of that process as true or real. When in reality, there was an intuitive part of that process that can only be done by a human brain, a human mind, that really needed to at least be done before those results were considered complete.
Yes, I could see that. There's a danger, you're saying, and AI is just, it says, right, AI, ChatGPT makes mistakes, right?
Yes.
So to bring it back to kind of, I mean, I've heard people say you can get your whole astrological charting done on that, and AI would have the capacity to study all types of, Buddhism, Hinduism, all kinds of things without judgment, right? That's kind of what I've heard, and also the emptiness, right? The egolessness of AI, right? And so in that respect, There is, I mean, even for, and I'm not going to, if someone will send me a book for the podcast, I'm the world's slowest reader, right? And so if I have the PDF, I put the PDF in AI and I'm like, can you summarize this for me and tell me, how that relates to what I'm doing? And, but what you're saying, and it's true, is that it's not, there is no conscious awareness in there, right? It's all a bunch of, it's all accumulating from, I guess, human knowledge, right? And so you have to question it, and you have to, it's an amazing tool, but you have to use it with you have to apply your wisdom. You don't want to be praising the tool. You want to use it as a tool for your own advance in awakening or spirituality or anything really.
Exactly. So my recommendation, using an AI tool for anything, much less mindfulness or spirituality, would be, before you start throwing out queries to whatever AI tool you use, whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, what have you, give some thought to exactly what you're hoping to get out of the AI experience. Because AIs are only programs, very sophisticated, often sophisticated programs. I won't say all of them are very sophisticated, but they are going to react differently based on the language that you use to ask your question.
That is right.
And so at the very least, you want to be mindful of the words and the structure that you're using to try and get to your end result. And then second, your end result may not be the first answer that you get. You may need to expound within the AI off of your first, next, third result. In order to refine, in order to delve, in order to just polish what the AI is feeding back to you.
And it even gives you suggestions. Would you like me to look at it this way or that way?
Exactly.
But your point is that it's still a computer, right? And we still need to question, like your brain, like the automated habits or conditioning in your brain that you need to question. You also need to very much not only question what is coming up, but really make sure you are giving it the information that you want to find, or sending it in the right direction by wording what you want correctly.
Yes.
It's such a powerful, powerful tool, fascinating, but again, a tool like the brain compared to conscious awareness. This is another tool, another brain, I guess. Right? It doesn't replace the intuition, the awareness, the mindfulness.
But it's a network of connected data points, much like the information that lives in our own heads, right?
Right. Like that. Right. And except in some way, and obviously it can read and it can gather and it can summarize a lot faster than this tool that we have. But just to be aware that they're both tools. I love that.
Yep. And also always remember, AI does not have intuition.
Yes,
which is humans' most powerful tool.
Yes. Oh, perfect. That is perfect. I was just going to say, is there something you want to leave the listeners with? And I think that's the perfect thing, right? It does not have intuition, which is humanity's most powerful tool, right? So thank you so much for such a thoughtful, I mean, not that I didn't expect it to be thoughtful, but, and I knew, it was techie versus brings the techie brain. And we didn't even get to the fact that you used to call yourself the clockwork. What was it?
I used to liken my human body to that of some sort of clockwork machine.
Yeah. And it is true. And it's the conscious awareness that comes into that machine that is so powerful. So it wasn't that I didn't expect you to be thoughtful, but just the depth and thoughtfulness of your conversations and the calm. I can just feel your calm. And so I imagine in your work, is it Protagonist? What's the name of your website again?
Protagonist.
That is right. Okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
Protagonist.life.
Yeah, that you bring that in teaching that leadership, you bring a calm into, tech is so fast moving and, right there and results oriented that I could really imagine that you bring quite a calm to your clients. So thank you so much for being here today. And maybe down the road as AI, starts to really, I don't know, take more shape, or I don't know what it's going to do. We'll have you back. But how do they find you if people are interested in connecting with you?
So best way is through my website, protagonist.life.
Okay.
You can find out more about what I do, what my business is. I don't spend a ton of time on social media, but I do have a LinkedIn page. If you just look up my name, Adam Kobler, on LinkedIn, you should find me pretty easily. I'm trying to think if I do any other social media regularly. Not really. I'm out on Facebook and a couple others, but those have been.
It's funny, the techie who's not on social media. I love that. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for being here today. And I hope I pronounced your name at the beginning. Did I pronounce it right at the beginning?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Holly. This was so much fun.
It's been fun. I know. And we've been having to reschedule this, but loved that we met on that Uber ride. And I've been finding amazing guests, in the most interesting places. And this has been completely interesting. And I hope it's been interesting to the listeners as well. So thank you, Adam. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this very fascinating. And, I'm always amazed when I have this idea of how these recordings are going to go. And I'm always amazed about what I learn and the thoughtfulness and the lessons that our guests are here to teach us. So I hope you got as much out of this as I did. And I will see you on the next episode of Pay Attention. Yay. So I did pronounce your name correctly in the recording, but I messed it up. Kobler. It's
Kobler. Long O.
Kobler. So thank you. We finally made it. The conference, I think we met in April.
Yep.
When the conference was. So I'm glad we finally got all the way through this. I hope the listeners enjoyed it. It just all goes back to awareness, whether it's AI and ChatGPT, I think whatever I pronounced it. Everybody makes mistakes. Apparently so do I. So there you go. But, that intuition you talked about and awareness, that is the difference. That is the human the human journey, right? There's all these machines, but we have that clarity. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I will be curious to see, I know they have all kinds of other chat GPTs now. They have, like I said before, specialized ones. And I've heard of people using that for therapy and other things. But just being awareness is everything. Just being aware that it's just data, right?
Yeah. At the end of the day, just data being put through the lenses that you're feeding to the system.
Yeah. Yeah. Very helpful data at times, but always questioning. So Adam Curious Kobler, thank you for being curious. Thank you for your patience. And so anyone who's interested in my teachings, I do have a year-round Mindful Living Awareness Hub. We meet twice a month. It's a great online community. I love it. And Adam is out there doing his thing. Any words of wisdom you want to leave our listeners with?
I usually like to finish up shows like this with my own kind of tagline of "Stay curious, my friends."
There you go. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, listeners, and join us next week, Wednesday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, on Pay Attention.
Thanks for watching Pay Attention with Holly McNeill. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next week on Wednesday at 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern.